In the very big city of Los Angeles, where tall buildings reached for the sun, lived a very special bird. His name was Mr. Bird. He was not just any bird, he was a bright red cardinal. His feathers were the color of a juicy strawberry, and he had a proud little crest on his head that stood up straight. Mr. Bird loved his home in a big leafy tree in a downtown park. From his branch, he could see everything. He saw yellow taxis buzzing by like busy bees. He saw people walking on the sidewalks carrying bags and talking on their phones. The city was his big, exciting backyard, and he was its most handsome resident. Every morning, Mr. Bird had a very important job to do. He would wake up with the sun and begin his beautiful song. His tune was a cheerful cheer, 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 a melody that floated through the park and made everyone who heard it smile. After his morning concert, it was time for breakfast. His favorite thing to search for was tasty seeds. He would hop from branch to branch, his sharp eyes scanning the ground below. He knew all the best spots, especially the kind places where people left out bird feeders filled with delicious treats. He was a very busy and very happy cardinal in a very busy city. On this particular day, the sun was shining extra brightly. It was Tuesday, June 10th, 2025, and the Los Angeles sky was a brilliant cloudless blue. Mr. Bird fluffed his fiery red feathers and took a deep breath of the warm city air. He had already sung his morning song and was now feeling a bit peckish. He spotted a lovely red bird feeder hanging from a lamppost just across the path. It looked brand new and was probably filled to the brim with sunflower seeds, his absolute favorite. With a happy chirp, he decided this would be his breakfast spot for the day. He aimed his little body and prepared for a short, graceful flight. With a little hop and a powerful flap of his wings, Mr. Bird swooped down from his tree. He soared over a green patch of grass where a family was having a picnic. He flew past a bench where a man was reading a newspaper. The city was alive with sounds and sights, a normal, wonderful day. He landed perfectly on the perch of the bird feeder, his tiny claws gripping the plastic tightly. He peered inside and saw a mountain of black and white striped seeds. Perfect, he chirped to himself. He was just about to poke his beak in for the first delicious bite, ready to enjoy his feast under the warm California sun. Just as Mr. Bird leaned in for his first seed, something very peculiar happened. It started with a tiny, funny feeling under his feet. The bird feeder he was standing on began to jiggle, just a little bit at first, like someone was gently shaking it. Mr. Bird paused, his head cocked to one side. He looked around. Was it the wind? No, the leaves on the trees were perfectly still. He looked down at the lamppost. It was wiggling too. The whole world seemed to be doing a little dance. It wasn't a big scary dance, but a soft, rumbling wiggle that made everything feel wobbly and strange. The gentle wiggle grew a little stronger. The big tree where he lived began to sway from side to side, its branches dancing as if to a secret rhythm. The leaves rustled together, not from a breeze, but from the movement of the tree itself. The bird feeder started to rattle more loudly, and the seeds inside made a soft shushing sound as they bounced around. Mr. Bird had to hold on tight with his little claws to keep his balance. He had never felt anything like this before. The ground itself, the very earth beneath the park, was shaking. It was a very shaky adventure indeed. All around him, other things were moving too. The water in a nearby bird bath sloshed from side to side, creating little waves that lapped at the edges. A bicycle that was leaning against a bench wobbled and then slowly tipped over onto the soft grass with a gentle thud. The people in the park noticed the shaking as well. The man reading the newspaper looked up, his eyes wide with surprise. The family having a picnic stopped there laughing and looked at each other. One of them said, "Whoa, was that an earthquake?" They weren't scared, just very surprised by the sudden, shaky feeling. Mr. Bird was certainly surprised. He held on, his little heart beating a bit faster. The shaking felt so strange for a creature who was used to the wind and the swaying of branches. This was different. This was the whole world moving. The wiggle lasted for only a few seconds, about as long as it takes to sing a short song. Then, just as suddenly as it had started, the shaking stopped. The ground became still. The trees stopped their dance. The bird feeder was calm once more. Everything in the park was quiet for a moment, as if the whole city was taking a breath. After the shaking stopped, Mr. Bird stayed perfectly still for a moment, listening. The city sounds slowly returned. The cars started honking again, and he could hear people talking. The family on the picnic blanket began to chat, saying things like, "That was a little one," and "Everything is okay." Mr. Bird looked around. The sun was still shining. The sky was still blue. His tree was standing tall and strong, and the bird feeder was still full of delicious seeds. Nothing was broken or had fallen down. It was just a little surprise wiggle, a brief moment of wobbling in an otherwise perfect day. You see, the big city of Los Angeles is built on a special part of the Earth. Deep, deep underground, there are giant pieces of our planet called tectonic plates. Think of them like huge puzzle pieces that are always moving very, very slowly. Most of the time they slide past each other smoothly, but sometimes they get stuck. When they finally break free and move suddenly, the ground above them shakes. This shaking is what we call an earthquake. It is a natural part of how our planet works, and it happens quite often in a place like Los Angeles. Most of these earthquakes are very small, just like the one Mr. Bird felt. They are like a little hiccup from the Earth. They are strong enough to make things rattle and sway, which can feel very surprising, but they are not strong enough to cause any trouble. Scientists, who are very smart people who study the Earth, measure these quakes. The one Mr. Bird felt was a magnitude 3.9, which is a very small number on their earthquake scale. It means the shaking is weak and doesn't last for very long. It's more of a curious event than a scary one for the people and birds of the city. So, while the shaky feeling was new and a bit startling for Mr. Bird, he quickly realized that he was perfectly safe. His strong little claws had kept him steady on the perch. His sturdy tree home was still standing right where it was supposed to be. The people in the park were all safe too. They were already going back to their picnics and their reading. The city of Los Angeles was used to these little rumbles. It was just a reminder that they lived in a very active and exciting place, both above the ground and deep, deep below. Mr. Bird took a deep breath and puffed out his chest. The surprise was over, and he had been very brave. He hadn't flown away in a panic. He had held on tight and waited for the world to stop wiggling. Now he felt proud. He looked at the bird feeder, which was now perfectly still. The mountain of sunflower seeds was waiting for him. The little earthquake had actually shaken a few seeds loose, making them even easier to reach. With a confident chirp, Mr. Bird finally dipped his head in and pulled out a plump, juicy sunflower seed. It was the most delicious seed he had ever tasted. He ate one seed, then another, and then another. As he feasted, he looked around the park with new eyes. He was a brave cardinal who had experienced his very first Los Angeles earthquake. It was a story he could chirp to his other bird friends. He understood now that the ground could sometimes do a little dance, but it didn't mean he had to be scared. He was safe in his park, and the city was strong. It was normal to feel a little bit startled when something unexpected happens, but it was also important to see that everything was okay afterward. After finishing his breakfast, Mr. Bird felt full and happy. He flew back to his favorite branch on his big leafy tree. He felt braver than he had at the start of the day. The little shake was just a small part of his big city adventure. He knew that birds and people could be perfectly safe and sound, even when the ground gives a little wiggle. It was just another interesting thing that happened in the amazing city of Los Angeles. He was ready to enjoy the rest of the beautiful, sunny day. He had a full belly and a brave heart. And so, Mr. Bird began to sing his afternoon song. This time, his cheer, cheer, cheer sounded even louder and more joyful than it had in the morning. It was the song of a happy, safe, and very courageous little red cardinal. He sang for the sun, for the tall buildings, and for all the people in the park. His song was a reminder to everyone who could hear it that even after a little shake, the day was still bright and full of wonderful things to enjoy. And Mr. Bird, the brave cardinal of Los Angeles, was ready for all of them.